Hello and welcome to the Last Word on Spurs. We hope you're keeping very, very safe and well. Thank you so much for joining us for instant post-match reaction to Tottenham Hotspur 2, Everton 0. Big result for Spurs. Huge result in the context of the footballing weekend. And we're joined by three great guests to overlook and give you their post-match analysis of it all. And of course, also previewing Manchester United to come at the weekend. Of course, a reminder, if you're not aware, you can find us on iTunes, or on Spotify, or across all major audio platforms. We are, of course, on Twitter at Last Word on Spurs. We're on Facebook and Instagram too. And joining me, I've got a wonderful array of guests tonight back alongside me. Listen, he needs no introduction. We've got the wonderful Mr. Richard Cracknell back on Last Word on Spurs. Rich, how are you?
Yeah, good, Rick. A bit bashed up and tired from last night because I've done an evening with Michael Dawson at Stevenage FC, who was absolutely stunning. But it takes it out of you. As one of our other guests will know, when you're a performing artist, you know, you go and give it your all and it takes it right out of you. I think might come from sitting on our backsides for many years, driving tube trains like we both did, and then having to go and work for a living. So, no, all good, Rick, and evening, everybody listening and viewing in. And look, if Spurs deserve to win today, for no other reason than that absolutely dreadful gilet and jumper combo that Frank had on. But it was awful, wasn't it? That was absolutely dire. So, so we fully deserve to win that today, just due to Frank Lampard's gilet, which is a fantastic fanzine as well, by the way. Frank Lampard's gilet on sale now, 50p a copy. Carry on, Rick. Evening.
What a way to start an introduction. You never let Mr. Cracknell to let you down on introductions on this show. Jordan Crackers tonight, back on Last Word on Spurs, quite literally back from the game, settled in his seat. We might ask him to turn his screen the other way around so we can see him in full length. We've got the wonderful Wobble musician, Wobble, back on Last Word on Spurs. Jar, how are you, mate?
Oh, I'm very happy. I'm sweaty. I've got to tell you, I left with maybe 2 minutes of injury time left. I suppose 24 minutes past. I was at Seven Sisters 72 minutes. At 42 minutes. So that's like, what, 15 minutes or something? I got down to the tube. Not bad, is it? 64, jogging, ducking and diving, taking risks with the traffic because there's so many people leaving early because it's such a difficult ground to get from. But I'm very happy, very happy. You know, we were different teams second half. I knew straight away when we went 3-5-2, our worries are over. Lots of people around me coating them off at half time. Goals change games. I knew we'd get a goal, and we did. Once we got that pen, we were all away.
Absolutely. And can I just praise the commitment of John today? Now, I spoke to him earlier this morning, and I thought, God, what's going on in his life? He then calls me later on today and says to me he's had it all go on with a car, with a recovery truck. John, are we in a better place now than we was 5 hours ago?
Oh, mate, I rolled with it. Zen like today. I tell you why, I've done 12,000 miles because we've been touring. Can't trust the trains. I've got my senior rail card, but you can't trust the trains. Hey, I'm all for the strikes. I wanted to strike when I was on the tube. I never wanted to strike in them days. But the trains themselves are just useless. So I've driven everywhere. And I was driving down like the A7 and Gathershiels. That's one lonely old road, that is. I'd rather have a flat tyre today in London, in Kensington, where, you know, it's no massive big deal. It just took 3 hours to come. Because nowadays, you don't have a spare, do you? You squirt a bit of toothpaste in it and then put a compressor on it, and it never bloody works. 3 times I've had tyres go. It's like a bit of toothpaste in it. What, you know, what are we kidding ourselves? So anyway, the geezer who come, Hassan, Moroccan musician, nice geezer, proper Londoner. Had a good chat about Ghana music with him, blind him geezer. Had a good talk about this, that, and the other. And then Gary, a Fulham fan in Quick Fit at Chelsea. I didn't even know there was one in Chelsea Cloisters, a Quick Fit there in the basement. The nicest Quick Fit geezer I've ever met, because I've met a few rude Quick Fit geezers when you've had troubles on the road, obviously, when you're touring. So, but he was lovely. Got it all ready. And so what I did, I went and had reflexology. I got gaff I go to in King's Road. So I was floating, man, for the hour. Knew I'd make it to the game on time. So I'm cool. Everything's under control, Ricky. I'm good.
Honestly, great to have John back on the show. I absolutely love having John back on this show. John, just a heads up, mate. If you are able to turn your camera around the other way so we can see you in full, that'll be amazing. As we just seem to have frozen John there. We'll try and turn him around now. There we go. We've got John in full HD for our watching audience on YouTube. For our audio listeners, they're going to understand a word of that. But for our watching audience on YouTube, you'll get it. There's about 600 of you watching us live right now. And as always, thank you so much for all your support. John's just walked in. Sammy Powell, bless him. He's had to clear the room at his place. Bless him. Wonderful Sammy Powell, back twice in a week. Sam, love to be back on Last Word on Spurs. How are you?
Yeah, well, I'm great after that, Ricky. I must admit, I've been getting some Twitter comments in regards to my positivity on the show.
Positivity, never.
Why is the Northern guy? Can he say anything negative? And I do dissect the team every now and then, but how can you be negative at the moment? It's impossible. You can't do it. He had everything right, Conte. Let me start by saying we can all rest and sleep safely knowing now that Jed Spence is actually still alive, which is great. But you know, at the end of the day, he got it right, the gaffer. You know, there's so much to touch on here, but Lampard set up against him. He did. And you know what? Lampard got it right. And Conte knew that. He switched it up. And another great win for Tottenham, and we continue the tribute to the late Jam Piero Ventroni, and you know that's what these wins feel like at the moment. You're sort of feeling it with them, aren't you? That this is a little bit more meaning behind it. There's just something going on, and I've got to say, we're still not playing the best football. Were we lucky?
Isn't that exciting, Sam? There's still so much more to come.
It's amazing.
Yep.
I mean, you know, we're not playing good football, and you could look at that match tonight and think we were lucky. A penalty that I'm not being funny. I mean, dog can catch balls better than Pickford, but but you know, at the end of the day, we did get lucky. The deflection, it weren't going in without the deflection from Højbjerg, even though if anyone deserves that goal, it's him.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We're not playing the best football. The best is yet to come. So how can you be negative about that? What do you want me to come on and start dissecting it individually and saying I'm not happy with Tottenham? This manager saw what Frank Lampard had done, and Lampard had done it right, changed it, and we won. So I'm happy, Ricky. And can I just say one last thing? It's a big intro, this, isn't it? I was just going to say, Ricky, to the last word on Spurs, reaching the top, from the top 10 to the top 20 to the top 30 worldwide sports podcasts. I take my hat off to you. And I'm honestly, from the work you've done, and I'm so proud to be part of it, mate.
Bless you, mate. Well, listen, it's down to, like I say, you wonderful guys that give up so much of your time, the wonderful viewing audience and listeners that tune into the show every single match, every single week. Thank you guys out there for all your incredible support. Thank, like I say, these boys as well for giving up their time on a Saturday night. Before we do get into the show, you know what's coming. We all know what's coming. We are delighted to be sponsored by the Beavertown Corner Pin. That is the Beavertown bang opposite your South Stand. Of course, our South Stand, I should say, not the South Stand, our South Stand. We're very excited to get back down there for plenty more live screenings to come. Hopefully, we've got a Christmas show lined up as well before the end of the year. And you can still book tickets now for the next televised away game, which is just a short trip. I keep saying short. It's not really that short. Old Trafford, Man United on Wednesday. Spurs' next game. We'll be giving you, again, a preview of that live here on Last Word on Spurs. You can get tickets by going to www.beavertownbrewery.co.uk/pages/corner-pin. As I talk right now, there's still over 600 to 700 of you watching us live on a Saturday night. Thank you so much, as always, for all of your incredible support. Cracks. Let's start the show with you, because as we record right now, and we have to emphasise, we're recording here live on Saturday night, Spurs are a point off the top of the Premier League, atop of their current Champions League group, best Premier League total ever after 10 games and 10 wins from 10 at home now under Antonio Conte. And the frightening thing, as I said to Sammy there, Cracks, we haven't even got our second gear yet, have we?
No, it doesn't feel like it, does it, Rick? It just feels like there's so much more to come, and it feels like there's options with different formations as well. As Sammy was alluding to there, Richarlison went off, Basuma comes on, and we're playing a different type of football. So it's just so lovely to see. I mean, there's some absolute numbskulls out there that tell you that this club's in crisis at the moment. Well, I'm failing to see what crisis that is. To be honest, it's just fantastic. An absolute best start since 63-64, I believe. One of our own, John, put that up via Lily White Rose, and yeah, what more? What more do you want? It's not swashbuckling, but I'll tell you something. It has drastically improved. It really has. It does. It's more and more watchable. I mean, a few weeks ago, I said, I'm really not sure how long-term Spurs fans will be able to watch that type of football, because it was more Mourinho than Poch. But the needle's moved. It's coming over, and it's more than watchable now. It's good football. Do you know what? It's grown-up football, Rick. It's mature football. That's what it is. It's all very well being swashbuckling and going for it and this and that, but sometimes that can be a little bit not juvenile. I'm struggling for a word to describe it, to be honest, but a little bit naive. There's a word. And now it just feels really grown up football, and it's just, you just can't moan. You really can't moan at it. And as Sammy said, on top of all that, it's only really been the Brighton game and the Frankfurt game and today, since we very sadly lost Ventrone. And this is Conte's brother. He wasn't a friend, he was a brother, and those players absolutely loved him. Now, nobody gets over the sad death of somebody that they're very, very close to in 2 weeks. And yet they've been so utterly professional with the way they've played and the way they've handled games and gone into games on the back of that as well. So I am really, really so made up with where we are and what we're doing at the moment. And players buying into him. Somebody just see a comment come up there on the screen about Doherty. Doherty today, brilliant. Just Conte's giving him a great big hug when he comes off. Kane, Romero saying he now feels that he's at home. He wants to be here at Spurs. He's loving it at Spurs. So, if you're being negative, you've got an agenda going on at the moment, because I just cannot really see anything that you can just point your finger at and say, that's not right. All the elements seem to be coming together.
Can I just say on that, Cracks? I just want to share some of the stats from today, because I think, again, this kind of tells you just how much Spurs are improving right now. And, you see on the screen here for our watching audience and for our listeners here, 21 shots to 4, 7 shots on target from Tottenham, restricting Everton to no shots at all. Spurs 62% possession to Everton's 38. Spurs' XG, I know Jason McGovern hates XG, so Jace, please forgive me, 2.83 on the XG. Everton 0.52. Spurs quite literally dominant there, as you can see. In every single stat there is really across the game, barring offsides where there was none apiece, red cards, and Everton winning the yellow cards, which we surely won't mind. Spurs 7 corners to Everton's 1. Just again, a real reflection of just how strong Spurs are right now. And again, not at their best, but still getting results. John, keen to bring you in. Listen, the brilliant John Wobble. John has come across here, like I say, live from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, back in his chair, back home to give us his post-match analysis. John, it is Spurs getting the job done again. Not at our best, but for Harry Kane, it's 2-5-8 now. Højbjerg also making it 10 consecutive wins at home. Really comprehensive, John, because I'm sure you're going to agree that Everton look like they come with little hope for anything but then possibly playing for a draw. And I will say, even from... Go on.
I thought they were much improved. I think they are improving under Lampard, to be fair.
Yep.
They're going to be harder and harder to beat. They were a different team to the team we played at home just a few months ago. And I think we won 5-1 or something, didn't we? 5-0. It was a big score.
5-0, yep. 5-0,
yeah.
yep.
And today, to be fair, they had 2 very good chances in the first half. Yet again, sloppy play from us, and they got some pace up front with Gray and the other big lad who was up front in the first half, and they tore through us. There was our players. It was a bit of Keystone Cops kind of defending. Too many cooks spoiled the broth, and they got through for another chance. There was one. Do you remember there was one on the right hand side, and then one through the middle? They were good chances, to be fair. And there was another one over on the left when a boy got through. When he, I think he might beat Romero. So they had 3, probably the best opportunities of that first half, to be fair. So they weren't absolutely terrible, and they were sort of in the game. And we started with great intensity for the first 10, 15 minutes. Then we died off. And then Højbjerg and Bentancur don't press as much when it's just the 2 of them. When we changed the system, I suppose because Richarlison got injured and we bring Basuma on. By the way, Basuma's best performance, I thought, so far.
Totally agree.
I was there in the
Agree.
week and he looked a bit edgy. But when he comes on, Bentancur and Holbert can press more, you know. Having said that, it was canny today because when they got the penalty, Bentancur was pressing like mad, and I saw Kane say to him, like, calm it, just stay in shape. And then Harry played a big part in that second goal. He canny, you know. They knew the chance had come, you know. So like, don't press them, just suck them in. It was so it really was Conte ball, you know. The great thing about the 3-5-2, the wing backs suddenly got more space. You know, they've got more space to run into, and I like seeing Kane. The movement of Kane and Son up front when it's just two, because they've got great movement, you know. The problem is going to be when Kulu comes back, because Kulusevski is a really great player, and he's a big miss at the moment. But he's such a great player, he could fit into that. My wife just sent me a text, are you disappointed with Tottenham? Why would I be disappointed today? Text just come up. Does she mean generally over the last 40 years? Yeah,
40 years, they're probably the answer is yes.
I am disappointed.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, aren't we all? But not today. I ain't going to answer yet. I'm going to stand back from that and consider it. But anyway, when the two of them are up front like that, it's you know, they're close together and it's great. So I was very happy with it today. Richarlison, you know, he's lost a little bit of the impact he had when he first come, and he's, you know, didn't have a great game in the week. He wasn't as bad as what people said today. He was trying very hard, just weren't getting anywhere, you know. But you always know, the thing with the stewardship of Conte. So we really weren't great in the first half. We started well, died away, and we started to get it together a little bit too late in the half. But Everton contained us fairly comfortably, to be honest. But you know, at half time, Conte's not going to make any changes. He's going to calmly go about his business of getting in the heads. And he's going to end up making changes that probably win us the game. And that's exactly what happened. And you know, with those games, it's going to be a set piece or a penalty or a deflected goal. Well, we had two of those three, you know.
Yep. No, listen, John, absolutely spot on. And I'm well right to actually, like I say, put me down about Everton. Because to be fair to them, I mean, listen, they came to Spurs. They're a completely different team than what they were 8-9 months ago. This game was never going to be a 5-0 game. It was always going to be one of those games where they were going to sit in, make life tough, and almost say to Spurs, break us down. And to be fair, I mean, it needed something like a penalty really to get Spurs going. But I agree, though, they're a much improved side. I am conscious that at the moment now, this is the thing, when you're doing Last Word on Spurs live, anything can happen at any time. And we're just getting some reports through right now. And again, this is going to apply. You'll have more news on this when you listen to this on audio for our audio listeners in the morning. But Richarlison has just come through the mix zone on crutches and in tears, which obviously is a big, big worry for Tottenham. Now, the biggest worry at the moment with Richarlison is that he actually burst his calf, as we understand, during that game. And he went through a similar issue at Everton, where he missed 2 months for them at one point. Now, a grade 1 injury would be a minimum 10 days, and a grade 2 is a 1 month minimum. But of course, for Richarlison, for him, probably there's a bigger mindset towards the World Cup, which, again, at the moment, we've still got a little bit of time, a month or so away. But that'll be a big concern to him.
Can I say something, Ricky? Can I say something?
Yep.
That's terrible news. Terrible news. But it might be, but the length of time, it means he probably misses the World Cup. That's probably why he's crying. Jesus goes to the World Cup, and maybe he comes back of a knock, or he comes back a bit knackered. Whereas if he hadn't gone, and I think there was a chance he wouldn't have gone, he's as fresh as a daisy for the second half of the season. And we might be rivaling him. So I'm just thinking ahead there. But obviously, look, it's bad news. You know?
Of course, for the kid, like I say, he's, I think we're all say that the impact he's made at Tottenham generally, we've got to say, I think the one thing you can say you see from every game is commitment, effort, desire, drive. You know, he does make things happen in a Spurs shirt. Sam, want to come round to you. I mean, I'm sorry to Sam, you are the most positive Spurs fan I know, and we love you for it. And that's why the audience love you as well, and the viewers as well. And Sam, this represents for Spurs now their best first 10 games of a season the club has had in Premier League history, earning 23 points. And again, it points towards the tremendous job Antonio Conte is doing. And even more so, the fact that Spurs have won every single home game this season. That also now means we've had 8 successive Premier League home wins, our best run for over 5 years. We are turning the place, Sam, into an absolute fortress, aren't we?
Yeah, it's a Colosseum. It's mental. I must admit, Ricky, I'm just analysing your news about Richarlison there, and I've got a different feeling this year to what I used to have as a Spurs fan. We've always had. I'm sorry if I sound like a broken record if you've heard it before, guys, but we've always had that player that when they get injured, we're in trouble, and we're not. And how amazing is that to have that, that depth at the moment, and though, oh my God, it's a nightmare for Richarlison. I wish him a speedy recovery, and there's nobody that wants to play football more than him. He's brilliant, but his replacement is Kulusevski, and I say that with a smile on my face because we've never had that opportunity. I must admit, there's not much more I can say after John. I was listening to John there, just again nodding, thinking, "Wow, I'm going to have to speak about Harry Kane here for an hour and 15 minutes." But the great analysis. But it's an amazing start. It's also an amazing start for Harry Kane. He starts slow, and he's come out the blocks. If it wasn't for Erling Haaland doing supernatural things, it wouldn't be going under the radar so much what Harry Kane's doing. He's just unbelievable. I can't tell you the difference he's making. He's changing everything. He took 3 key passes out into our box. He cleared them. He was there doing it. And then he was there making key passes to Bentancur to cross it into Højbjerg. He was there for everything. He's such a playmaker. I'm so proud that he's a Spurs player. But I have to say, so I want to put this on the cards, the 3-5-2. I'm not a fan. I feel like it's not our system. I don't think it is. But what I am happy about is that we've got a manager that recognises when we're getting played where he has to switch to a 3-5-2. And we've never had that. And you look at Thomas Tuchel, who played the hexagon every game for Chelsea. That's why he's gone. He's gone because no matter who he was playing, he played the same foot. He played exactly the same football. And football don't work like that. Boxing doesn't work like that. You don't just go in and do 2 jabs and 2 lefts and 1 right. You don't do that. You have to look at your opponent and work out how they're going to come at you and go at them that way. And if you have to switch up, if you have to go southpaw, you've got to go southpaw. And I'm glad we've got a manager that is doing that. So, because I think, I said it at the beginning, Frank Lampard had it right. There were more toffees in the box when we were on the break than there are in a value pack of Quality Streets at Christmas. And I'm not being funny, right? They were there prepared for us, blocking it. So we had to make a change because they were going to come at the middle 3. And then when he switches it to 5, it's a different animal. So what a manager. How exciting is that? And he's not even got the best. He's not worked out the best system for it yet. So what he's doing is he's making the changes off the cuff. So brilliant. I'm so excited with the start we've had, Ricky. Brilliant.
Joe, I've got to say, Sam, for me, I think a couple of the comments I picked up on it here. I think the 3-5-2, I do think it brings out the best, as Johnny says there, about our midfielders. But I think now what we're seeing with Tottenham is that we have now got a flexibility, as you said, Sam, of being able to change formation mid-games and the players adapting to it. I don't think we've been able to really do that under previous managers where we had a squad or 11 or 12 players capable enough of being able to adopt the change in formation mid-game. Absolutely. And that's what's impressed me most with Tottenham, being able to change midway.
It's about the options. It's about the options, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I think with a 3-5-2, you can be exposed by clubs like Liverpool and City. I do. I really believe that because they get forward fast. And if they, and I get it, you put that wall of the 5 in. But if they break you apart and they're against 2 defenders there, it's danger time. Yep. So I like it when there's 3 there in front of Hugo, giving the protection. And I like it when there's 3 at the top. I like it when there's Kula, Son, and Kane up there. But what I like more is a manager that knows how to play when things aren't going his way. And we haven't had that for a long time.
No, agree. Cracks, want to come back around to you. Conte has just come out for his post-match press conference. Again, doing these shows live on Last Word on Spurs means you get the instant reaction to Conte's post-match press conference. Conte started the press conference by saying, today I thought Ivan Perisic played in the way he can. With his injury before, he struggled a bit, but he played okay. But I thought this was more like the Ivan we knew. Ivan, of course, was back in the team. Conte went also on to say that Basuma played a really good game. When we go to play with a midfield three, for him in this moment, it's better to have him two. It's better to have two with him. His impact was really, really positive, as John actually alluded to as well. It's his understanding that he's in a top club and the pressure is really different and the level of the training sessions are higher and the focus has to be every moment at the top. The demands are a lot and it's understanding this. We're talking about a really good player and he played well. Conte went on to say, we're doing everything with common sense. We have to continue in this way. And I'm really happy for our fans because when you play in this atmosphere, when they push you on and sing our names, it makes us proud and push to give more for this football club. And you do get the feeling, Crack, so if you agree, that there is a real togetherness now in that camp. I think even galvanised, and actually Sam alluded to at the start of the show, by the real sad passing of Gianventroni. I think that really has, in a way, just galvanised the whole football club now. And there's a real strength and desire and belief now to really go on, fight for whatever they can do as a club. And there's a toughness about Tottenham that I haven't seen in a long time. And bearing in mind, we've had a really, really difficult last few weeks. When you look at the fact that we've gone to Brighton and won, Frankfurt and won, and now Everton and won as well. That's 9 points, 2 of them Premier League, 1 in the Champions League. And we said Spurs' best ever Premier League start, top of the Champions League group. Conte seems happy. Is there much to really complain about, Rich, as you said earlier?
No, there's not, Rick. And it's interesting comments that he made about Basuma there, because he seemed to let a little bit of daylight in upon Magic and maybe how he's approaching training. So, you know, this is something we spoke about on the WhatsApp group earlier this week, and what goes on at a football club. And it's not just those 90 minutes. That's just like the outcome. It's all the work that goes in to that leading up to a game. And I get the feeling that maybe Basuma, Spence maybe might have come in and, you know, realised you're not in Kansas City anymore, Dorothy, you know, and so they've had to step up. They've had to become more regimented, more professional, and just act and live like that sort of end of the scale, professionalism and being a footballer. So I think it sounds like that Conte's trying to get certain players that have come in mentally right, but they're thinking right, but their attitude's right. All that needs to be put right before he even lets them in. And then once he's got them, it's literally like having soldiers in barracks and doing your training before you send them out onto the battlefield, isn't it? So it was quite interesting what he said there. But you're right, that there is a galvanising, isn't there now? It just looks like it's, it's just, there's something there. Now it's all seems to be coming together. Again, from the Arsenal result, and that could have well knocked us for 6, but we've come back from that. Today's game, how many times under AVB and even like under Poch and under Martin Yole, that sort of era where we play teams, it was 0-0, and it gets to about 85 minutes and we get dipped 1-0 right at the end with a lucky breakaway. Everton had a couple of breakaways today, but they never converted them. So yeah, we got a bit lucky, but they just wasn't quality enough. And there was another stat that came up today. That is the first time in 6.5 years that Everton haven't had a shot on goal in a game. 6.5 years, and we've shut them out today. All right, they could have got maybe a couple of shots off in the first half. So it's just something seems to be coming together, and they're buying into Conte. The only thing with that, Rick, really, I love
the way we're losing the audience as we keep on talking. We're losing the viewers. We're actually losing the guests as well as the audience.
Don't worry, I'm well used to it. When I start talking, most people do walk off.
Sorry, I've got people leaving my house as well, and I'm like this. Oh my God!
No worries, my wife left me as well.
I've got a whole family around. We're traveling to Orlando to go to Disney on Tuesday, right? And it's just absolute chaos here. Kids, everything, and it's mental. So apologies for that.
Can I make you laugh though? The numbers. We've got about 800 watching us live, and we're losing the actual contributors.
Sorry,
More
mate.
people calling in and everybody's off. I'll be off in a minute, but no,
We'll just have the
to
audience
finish
sitting
up-
there, but there'll be no one talking. It'd be fantastic. What's going on here?
just to finish up with Conte, you know, they're buying into him, but I think with that type of management, it's how long do they buy into it for? It just seems to be something that can burn out a little bit. I hope Conte's here for a good time, because I don't think it will be a really long time. There won't be no Ferguson, Wenger type dynasty with it, you know. But listen, you can only just live in the moment, and everything sound as a pound. And do you know what? Since Sammy mentioned Quality Street and those toffees, I can't stop thinking about them now. And all I want is one of those, you know, the purple ones with like, they've got that melty toffee in the middle and a little. No, it's nearly Christmas, Rick. Oh, I'm gonna get myself a tin of Quality Street when I go back from like the UK to Lanzarote, and I shall have a few of them purple ones Christmas Day. That's all I want now, is a purple Quality Street. It's supposed to be a serious football show, isn't it?
Honestly,
What's your favourite Quality Street?
we put it out as a post-match analysis piece, and we sit there talking about what's your favourite Quality Street. What is going on with this show?
Stick it in the comments, everybody. Which colour's your favourite Quality Street?
Just a warning, John. If we lose any more contributors, you might have to get the guitar out, mate, and get the drums out as well.
That really have them going in their droves, mate. Be careful.
What we are just going to do, we're going to come back around to John in a second. We are just going to go for our first break of the show for our listeners on audio. For our watching audience on YouTube, we've got a good 700 to 800 of you watching us live Saturday night with the wonderful Mr. Cracknell, the great Sammy Powell, and the brilliant John, who's Wobble, who's just come back live from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, back in his seat to give us post-match reaction. John, we are going to kick off the second half with you. We're going to talk about the starting lineup of today, which is going to come on our screen right now for our watching audience. So Antonio Conte made 3 changes to his Tottenham Hotspur team from Frankfurt as we took on Frank Lampard's Everton. Back in came Ben Davis for Colin Longley alongside Christian Romero and Eric Dyer. We had Emerson Royale suspension, meaning Matt Doherty got another chance to impress on that right-hand side, while Ivan Perisic came back in on the left with Ryan Sessegnon dropping to the bench after back-to-back starts. The Spurs boss actually decided against the midfield of Yves Bissouma getting a start, and that meant that we then saw again that famous duo that's becoming this season of Pierre-Emile Højbjerg and Rodrigo Bentancur, as Conte decided to stick with the 3-4-3. As we was updated at the start of the week and towards the end of the week, Dejan Kulusevski still not available and did suffer another setback in training on Thursday. He's still recovering from a hamstring injury, and Lucas Moura was back on the bench. Conte did initially actually confirm in his pre-match press conference that Richarlison was suffering from a little knee problem, subject and separate to what happened to him later in the game, and was fine to start against his former club, which meant our team was Lloris, Romero, Dyer, Davis, Doherty, Højbjerg, Bentancur, Perisic, Richarlison, Kane, Son, with a bench of Forster, Longley, Sanchez, Spence, Sessegnon, Skip, Bissouma, Lucas and Hill, and credit to Football London for that breakdown. John, happy with the team when that came out?
Absolutely expect it. Actually knew every change he was going to make. Knew he'd go 3. He'd go 3-4-3 again, and you knew that he'd bring Doherty in because he has to, obviously. I've got to be honest, I don't want to be horrible. I don't think Emerson's as bad as what people say. I can see why he picks Emerson. He's an athlete. Just can't cross a ball. He hasn't really got any football now, as far as I can see. And Doherty today, you know, I was relieved knowing Doherty was going to start today as well. Thought he had a good game against Brighton, and he actually got better and better as the game went on, I thought. Perisic, I'm not sure, you know, some games he seems to be a little bit underpowered. You know, maybe he's showing his age a little bit, but he's got great skills, and, you know, not for every game. Sometimes with more physical games, I think you need Sessegnon there, but I thought he done well today, Perisic. You know what you're going to get. He's obviously a absolute world-class player. And you knew Davis had come in today, which is fine for a game like Everton. That's you know, Lenglet's really impressed me, by the way. He's kind of a little bit not talked about much, but he's comfortably at home in that left-sided centre-half position, you know. So, and I thought Romero today, yet again, outstanding.
Oh,
So aggressive, you know, was fantastic. You know, in fact, there was that break in the first half when Everton come down the left, and before the guy could get his shot away, actually Romero just stepped so confident, steps in, and you know, he 3 or 4 outstanding challenges today, you know. So yeah, I think it's the worry with this obviously is the midfield with Bentancur and Holger. You can't play players as much as that, you know. I don't know. Are they both in the World Cup? I think Denmark are in the World Cup.
Denmark are. I think Bentancur is going. I think he's going, John, as far as I'm aware. Unless anyone can tell me otherwise, I'm sure he is going there, Bentancur. I think they did qualify.
Because that's a bit of a worry.
Yeah, he's there. He's definitely there.
He is there. Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's Uruguayan, isn't he? I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, you're going to be. It's great that Bissouma needs to come in and make his stamp, and obviously Skip needs to get back up to speed because you're going to need them. You know, especially as you get into the second half of the season. See, I'm very happy with it. I mean, interesting. We know that Spurs' brand of football is a passing game, and it's an intense game. We're a front foot team. We go on the front foot. So that's the difficulty with Conte, that he's not really like that, you know. So it's not really on brand. I think that's one of the fundamental difficulties some fans have, and I get that, you know. But I think
do you think, John? Do you agree, John, with that? I mean, I think it's important to make that, John. I want you to come back and answer that because I spoke to you during the week about this. That I think there's this perception for some reason that Conte was going to come in and play free-flowing football. It was never going to be that. You know, as we spoke earlier in the week, Conte's a manager. You have to give him, same as Mourinho, exactly what he wants in order to be successful. And if you don't give him what he wants, he won't be successful, right?
That's right. Yeah, it's everything about him's very exact. You know, there's an exact formula, and you either buy into it or you don't. He's not completely inflexible. He's obviously quite stubborn, and there's a real belief there. But you know, what do I want? You know, well, I want a functional, successful Tottenham team.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I've seen us. The seasons we challenged, supposedly inverted commas, for league titles, I never ever in my lifetime have ever seriously thought we were ever going to win the league. Ever. So the one thing I'd like to see before I peg it is see us win the league. You know, and this is a guy, serial league winner, literally. Yeah. You know, so you know, I can see what the fundamental issues are, you know, as I say, but, you know, and I think the pathetic thing here, Arsenal up the road, they're on a roll at the moment, and they've stuck to their guns. They've stuck with Arteta. They've got a young team there. Their academy obviously functions better than ours has. Maybe that's going to change about with new people coming into the academy. But they've got these young players coming through. They know exactly the kind of style they're going to play, exactly the kind of players they're going to play. This modern brand of football. But at the end of the season, we might be saying they're the pound shop city, yeah? When they suddenly run out of puff and they're young, I don't know how they're taking. But, you know, we shouldn't be, people shouldn't be too focused on them. I think that's the thing, because they're doing well. If they weren't doing as well as they are, the pressure would, some Spurs fans wouldn't be kicking off about Conte. You know,
the bottom line is, John,
I've got to be honest as well. When Arsenal, when Emerson got sent off, I got me running shoes out and went for a run. I knew the game was over. And if I know it, you know, Conte obviously knew it, and that's why he done all them substitutions, because it was okay. We shot our bolt in the first half. We could have gone in ahead in that game. We really could. We had the better. We had 3 or 4 opportunities to play players through, you know. And just for a few weeks there, our final ball was just terrible. It's life. It's football.
Well, they're playing the best football, John. Right? They're playing their best football, right? And having it, they're doing really well. They're playing great football. Do I want to say that? No, but we're realists, and they are. We're not. And look where we are. And I feel like
is it a point behind them now? How many points? I mean, I say, look at the table now. I mean,
and it's downhill for them, and it's uphill for us. And in my opinion, you know, because
don't forget as well,
better than what they are doing.
He's 3 years into that project, and they've spent a few quid as well.
Correct.
A nice few quid. 3 years in. Conte's been here like honestly, I don't even think he's been here as long as Jacques Santini was, and he was like, and Jacques Santini lasted about as long as a Chancellor of the Exchequer, didn't he? So, like, he's been here 5 minutes, and we're already toe to toe with him. So, like, I'll take it all day long, Rick.
Yeah.
You know, it's fun. You know, again, Cracks in this game, just to kind of touch upon the start of it, it was one of those games where, we had what was great to see from Spurs? Fast start. And Cracks, how many times have we been saying this, me and you together? We've been on the phone together and said it'd be great to see Spurs start fast. It's exactly what we did. We had Perisic and Son link up really well before the latter then curled across, that claim flicked on, but it was deflected wide. We then had a very early, again, another lovely bit of link-up play between Son and Perisic this time. He put the Croatian down the left from a quick free kick, which the South Korean then found Richarlison, but he put it to the back post as he headed over. And it was nice to actually see Spurs come out, firing outside the blocks. There was a real intensity, Cracks, the way we started the game. I think that's what fans want to see, isn't it? And a game like a 5:30, where we're playing a side that are going to sit in, make life difficult for us, even though, like I say, we go into that game at half-time 0-0, the intent is so important, and we started the game well, Cracks. Do you agree?
Yeah, and then that gets the crowd up. It's just keeping that intensity going, because that dropped off after about 10 minutes. But then we're not that type of an intensity team. So I think it was probably part of the game plan. Can we get out there? Can we catch them cold? Can we nick an early one? And then their game plan has to completely change. They can't then just dig in like the Alamo and see how they get on. So then, then we've pulled back a little bit, got into a bit of a rhythm, and just gone from there. It was, listen, like you said, Rick, it was never going to be a 5-0 today. I think people are going to have to learn a little bit of patience, because at one stage on about 35, 40 minutes, there was a little bit of unrest in the crowd. There was a little bit, they were vocal, but like with that little bit of, not toxicity, but a little bit of negativity. There was a sort of audible groans with a couple of bits and pieces. So I think people have just got to stick with it a bit, keep the faith. You knew it was going to come today at some stage. They weren't keeping us out the whole game, and it's a 90-minute game. So yeah, I think it was just the perfect plan, and they executed it really well today. So, but yeah, it's nice. I like to see that intensity, but it's just not Conte's style to do that for 90 minutes. So, and then once the goal came, that was it, Rick, wasn't it? It was game over, really, to be honest.
You know what's funny, again, with this show, as I always say, listen, the reason why we love Last Word on Spurs and we give, obviously, the show the way it is that we want to be able to give everybody a voice, to have their feelings heard. And that's why, again, we open the comments for live comments. And like I say, one there was saying that unrest because it was like watching paint dry. I think, again, you have to credit the opposition for the way they come in the game and set up. Because if Everton had come and literally opened the gates to flood Spurs and try and attack us, then they've got to face Kane, Son, Richarlison. I mean, in what right mind would you want to do that? Everton had a formulated game plan where they were going to remain in the game, stay in the game, and try and then hit Spurs on their own counter-attacks. It would not have been in Everton's interest to come at Spurs attacking when you've got Kane, Son, and Richarlison. And I always say that with Tottenham now, with that formidable front three, nobody's going to come at Spurs and be open. They're just simply not. And anybody that does that is simply asking for trouble. And I'm sure, Cracks, do you want to come back on that?
Well, yeah, I mean, you're like watching paint drying, but at one stage, Rick, when the Sistine Chapel ceiling was being painted, the paint was wet, but eventually it dried, and you ended up with such a beautiful masterpiece. So it's just like you can't have it always. Where did swashbuckling football get us under Poch? I know we made a final, but we were lucky to get through. I keep saying this,
but never got on the line. We never got on the line.
Yeah, we never got over the line with it, did we? So, listen, as I said at the start of the show, it just looks a little bit more mature type of football, a little bit more grown up. There is an element of danger to this as such, because if you are not going to entertain people, you have got to win something. But at the moment, I'm not entertained. I am actually quite enjoying it, because I said the last 2 or 3 games, the needles, it's turned up, it's been dialed up a little bit, and it's not bad football now. It's good football. It's not exciting, but it's good to watch.
Yeah, and just to credit that, Green Knight has come back and said, but Ricky, it wasn't Everton's play, it was Spurs, missed passes, slow knock around. Look, what I will say is, I think, listen,
I
20
don't
minutes...
agree with that, Rick, because they've been really solid in the last 6-7 games. They've barely conceded a goal. So
I would say
Toffees at the back was fantastic. They handled us well, but they just couldn't cope, for 90 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I say, it's a parallel different comments. I mean, Rebecca on the screen, it says, watching paint dry was Leicester versus Crystal Palace. And Simon says here, first time Everton conceded more than one goal all season. As I keep on referencing, hard to break these teams down. And I will reiterate the point that, again, the football, it's never going to, the reason why Last Word on Spurs is there is the point of that we want to give everybody a voice. And the thing now is we've come to a point where we're humbled by the amount of viewers and listeners that watch the show, that we simply aren't going to be able to please everyone. There'll be some that, again, feel it's going to be more swashbuckling. There'll be some that will just say, look, we want to get the results. And that's, unfortunately, the element of life. We've all got different opinions. We've all got ways in which we see football being played. Sam, let's come over to you. There was that feeling that with Spurs, we had that Son really weak penalty claim waved away, and it never really looked like a penalty. Then we had an attacking free kick. It was actually nice to see Son over a free kick, not Kane, but he did blast it into the wall. And then we did see Everton for a period, and like you said there, Rich, 25 minutes on, Sam, where Everton was sat back and almost goading Spurs. And clearly, I think, Sam, Lampard clearly wised up on the back of that final defeat, from March. They were a lot more compact, sitting back, challenging Spurs and simply saying, you've got to find a way to break us down. I mean, Sam, at that point, middle of the first half, was you getting irritated, or was you always confident the goals would come?
Ricky, I'm far too excited watching the comments about quality streets and people's favourites to even answer that. And we're still going on about it. And this is the most entertaining show I've had. If you're not watching,
sorry, Rick, I am sorry.
I can't believe
Heroes next week.
I must say, we had about 50 comments flash up, and half of them were like, can you take that green triangle out?
Oh, it's infatuating. I was literally obsessed with it at one point. But no, on a serious note, he did what he had to do, Frank Lampard. He put the bus out. You've just put a comment up as I'm saying it. Yeah, he did. He parked it. But the thing is as well, Ricky, is with Tottenham that we've got these formations to make it work now. We've got them. The players like Højbjerg, Bentancur, and Bissouma, who I think, wow, he's coming to life, isn't he? I think he probably had his best game in a Spurs shirt. Absolutely brilliant. We've got what it takes to be able to combat those type of defenses. If someone's parking a wall against Tottenham, sooner or later it's going to get knocked down. What I'm always worried about is when they get past and go down to our defence. Please stop posting comments. I don't want to ruin your show with us talking about chocolates.
It's fine. What has Cracker started here?
We can't do it, but it's phenomenal. I almost, in fact, I employ it. I'm the least famous person that comes on this show, right? So, Sammy Powell at Twitter, please just message me your favourite chocolates. I'm infatuated of what I'm missing out on. But but to go on about, and listen, I don't want to talk about Arsenal either, Ricky. We're here to talk about Spurs, but I have seen some really interesting comments that we do have to talk about. Is that we just said they're having their best season because they're playing the best, correct? But do you know what? Take Martinelli out of that squad. Take Jesus out of that squad. They're in trouble, and we're not. So, we've had Kulu out, we've had Ricky, and now it looks like Richie's out. God bless again. We wish him a really speedy recovery.
We do.
And everyone will be behind that because he's so lovable. But it's not an issue for the squad, is it? And I can't believe I'm saying that. Even Højbjerg has been, I will hold my hands up. I said he might not be good enough to play in a Tottenham shirt. And I'll stick by the comment. I think I'm going to stick by the comment is that he's not skillfully enough. But do you know what Conte has got out of Højbjerg has blown my head off because he's unbelievable. The effort. And like I said before, does anybody want to see Does any Spurs fan want to see any other player getting a goal more than him for the effort that he's putting in? He's put.
For me, he's been hands down the player of the season, Højbjerg, so far. It's not even a competition. The desire, the drive, the hunger, the leadership that he shows in that pitch. I have to say, Højbjerg has impressed me so much. We're going to come on to him, but John, want to come round to you. Subsequently in that first half, Kane having a shot deflected over from a good block from Tarkowski. Gray had actually a really good opportunity for Everton. They actually had two really good opportunities, Everton, to go ahead during the game. Yeah. But then we saw that kind of mix up, as we kind of referenced there, John, where Romero, Højbjerg, they kind of left it for each other. And I think, again, you saw Lampard so frustrated on the bench. I'm sure where you were sitting, John, as well, you'd been really concerned. Onana going through like that, a real good opportunity for Everton, and missed it. It was almost shaping up. I don't know what you thought, John, going into half-time, where it was one of those games that we feared, where the start was so good from Spurs, Everton then slowed us down. The worry was it's going to become harder and harder to, again, raise that tempo. And it had that feeling almost like, one of those, we played a Champions League game midweek type of flatness to it. Was you concerned going into half-time, John, for you?
I've said to me, Charlie, that, how many times have I sat there at Tottenham where the crowd's getting disgruntled, they all want to go to a cup of tea at half-time, 40 minutes, so they're all getting up with 5 and 6 minutes before half-time because they're bored with the game. And I've seen that so often, going back years and years, the disgruntled, that people are not happy. And, there's various, those misses, you do think that kind of, against top teams, you're punished. The way we were punished in the week against Eintracht Frankfurt, against the top team, you defend like that, you'll concede. So that's something to bear in mind. And I just think you're far less likely to be played through like that when you're playing with a 3-5-2, because you've just got the extra body in there. We're just too porous at times playing 3-4-3 as far as I'm concerned. It has its, in some games it can be good, and I think that he's no mug at all, Conte. He knows he's flexible within the different systems and all that. So it's, he understands the strengths of players. And when Kulusevski comes back, that's another kettle of fish, because he's such a grafter, such good movement that at times, there were times when we played 3-4-3 last year that when we haven't got the ball, it's like it suddenly becomes a 5-4-1. It's all so the players get back into shape so quickly nowadays, So, but overall, I think one of the things that concerns me is when so many other teams we play against have the extra man in midfield, and we get played through just far too easy, and that bothers, that worries me at times. But look at the stats. Look at the stats with this guy. He's only been here a year, right? I think. Is that right? It's incredible.
Well, again, phenomenal start. As we mentioned.
It's a quiet revolution gone on, How many games have we lost since we had that run last year, since Brighton beat us at home 1-0? How many games have we lost?
Well, I think he's won 8. Obviously, he's won 8 now in a row at home for Tottenham. It's our best ever start to Premier League with again, accumulating more points than anybody, I think, bar Man City since Conte's taken over at Tottenham. I think very hard pressed at the moment to find any real reason to criticise Antonio Conte if you look at the points-wise. And even style of football, I'll agree with you, Cracks. I think it has massively improved over the last few weeks. And he's definitely taken heed, I think, of a need now at home that the tempo has to be much, much quicker. Now, again, as I referenced at the start of the show, this is a developing story at the moment with regards to Richarlison. So, Rich, just want to come over to you for the latest news on him, because like I say, this is kind of we're at a point in the game where this situation happened where he hobbled down the tunnel with a calf injury. He looks to be actually holding the calf muscle itself, replaced by Basuma. And obviously the real concern for Spurs is, given the schedule we've got coming up and Kulusevski's absence, you will be worried. And the fact Spurs then seemingly switched to a 3-5-2. Now, I mentioned it earlier during the show, and we've had a slight update. So obviously, from what we now understand, he left the stadium on crutches and in tears amid fears that he will miss the World Cup. Now, obviously, him himself now is worried that he's had a similar injury to what he suffered at Everton for 2 months. Well, I say 2 months. He missed 2 months with a similar injury. Now, as I reiterate earlier, a grade 1 tear would see him ruled out for 10 days. A grade 2 would see him ruled out for at least a month. He has a scan tomorrow. That's Sunday. So again, a reminder, we're recording live on Saturday night here. So for our watching audience, when you listen to this back, obviously we're Sunday today. So we'll be having that scan later today. But Antonio Conte has now confirmed he will definitely miss the game against Manchester United, which probably won't come as a big shock. Conte said for sure he's out against United. He went on to say he felt something in his calf and he won't be available for that game. He needs a bit of time to recover. Rich, initial just thoughts on Richarlison. How big a miss is that, given that Kulusevski is feeling his way back, and hopefully we should have him available for that trip to Old Trafford?
Well, split it into two separate issues there, Rick. I gutted for him because he's come in and he's been flying. He's given it all. He's properly given some for us. So I like him. So it's a shame. Look, players when they get something like this always go on to crutches and a boot. So just to try and protect it. Sometimes it can be nothing. There might be a bit of fear from what's happened before, where he's had a similar injury and he's thinking it's that again. And he's a really emotional guy, as we saw, after the Champions League game when he went to hug his dad and everything. He's quite emotional. So, I mean, the fact that he's on crutches, in a boot and some tears, it might just maybe it's not as bad as he thinks at the moment. So, I mean, probably it is going to be a 5 to 6 weeker, isn't it, that he's out for. So, look, we've coped today when he's gone off. And in fact, dare I say it, and it might sound a bit cold-hearted, we actually looked a more fluid side.
We did with that change of formation. Agree.
From when that change in formation, because as King Oddle said in the comments much earlier, he's not that right-sided guy, but he's been playing now and he seems to keep making the same runs as Sonny does. They seem to play across against each other. So, look, Conte gets paid the big bucks. So he'll have to find a way, won't he? He's just like, he will find something. There's options. There's Brian Hill there. Okay, he's a young lad, a bit lightweight, but he came on the other night and looked really good. Lucas is coming back. Kulu might not be that too far away. It might only be a few days because he had another slight knock. So Basuma's there. So there is options to change this up. And we're just going to have to find a way. But, and he will do. Conte will find a way. He'll just have to get some players to dig in because that's they seem to be playing for him. But actually for Richarlison himself, if it is that sprain or a tear, then he could be a good 6 weeks. And I'm gutted for him. I'm really gutted to see any player get that sort of injury. But it's a long, hard season, Rick. Long, hard season. That's why you need literally 2 teams now. So, I mean, it weren't that long ago, but when we lost Kane, that was it. That was it. Done. We were absolutely done. And now, even if Kane goes and if we lose one of them, we've got some options. So there is a progression within the club, with the squad. Because as I said, one stage for a couple of seasons, it was Kane or nothing, wasn't it? So I'm gutted for him, but let's see. We'll find a way.
Yeah, we will. And again, any further updates during this show on Richarlison, we'll bring it to you. But I think that's all we're going to get for tonight. Again, just a reminder, scan on Sunday. So again, listeners and audio, that will be, of course, today. And we'll hope to get further developments on Richarlison's situations. Really sad. But again, really strange the fact that Spurs definitely, whether it was, again, coincidence or whether it was a tactical masterclass from Antonio Conte, go into the 3-5-2, actually, from a fluidity perspective, really actually helped Spurs during that game. And it almost seemed like we massively improved when, like I said, we brought that extra man in midfield. Good job.
They can play higher. I think that's why they can push on more.
Yeah.
And that's especially when Basuma's sitting in it, you saw Bentancur and Holberg really get forward, and they're two of them are great at interceptions. They're great at pressing, so it makes a big. It means we can get on the front foot a little bit. So you'd think ostensibly it's a defensive system, but actually it's better for the offensive. Well, as soon as we went to that, I just knew when I saw Basuma come on, we're winning this. But I feel, as Rich mentioned there, I feel sorry with Richarlison because he ain't a right winger. All I remember at Everton, he was either on the left, cutting in,
or down the middle.
or down the middle. So not easy. And he looks a little bit kind of the angles he makes his run at just slightly awkward, So, and as Rich said, we'll find out. I remember when Kane was injured in that run up to the Champions League final, remember Son was unplayable. Because he stepped up and he had a lot more freedom in terms of being able to move about the pitch in the way that he wanted, and was fantastic. So we'll find a way, and you never know. This would be a good. I thought Gil. People still saying he's really lightweight, and he does look a bit lightweight. But he won the penalty, didn't he, Gil? He looked tricky,
What every time he comes on, John, I don't know if you agree, he looks like he's coming on now, John, with a real purpose to make a difference, right? I don't know if you agree, John. There's a real desire from the kid to try and show Conte everything that he's got. And that's also, it's good and bad because sometimes you can over-try, and then there's an element where he wants to give everything. So, I mean, John, there's no argument that when he's come on, he's trying to make a difference, right?
Yeah, he's aggressive and he goes at people. And we haven't got many players who really go past people. Great to see Spence come on at the end today as well.
Absolutely.
That makes me think it's just the beginning maybe of him being trusted, and that maybe starting in training for him to even get 2 minutes means Conte's judged he's been good in training, I think. So that's great, So we're starting, Skip coming on as well right at the end. I left at that point because I had to come back for this, I would have been too late otherwise, but it was I'm happy with it. Lucas, we forget he can be a good beat. There's never enough end product with Mora, but he's got goals in him, and yet again, he can play as part of a two, Lucas, as well. So if we can, I think I suspect we'll be seeing a little bit more of the 3-5-2 the next few weeks. But but he'll mix it up. He'll still play for it. I can see why when you play free up front and they press, and they keep it narrow when you haven't got the ball. That defensively, it's all about what shape you're in when you haven't got the ball as opposed to when you have. So sometimes it's a bit of a moot point, but generally when we play that way, we are lacking a guy, one body in midfield, and other teams know that, and we get played through. When teams counter quickly, we get played through like hot knife through butter, and that scares me against the top teams.
It's interesting what you say, John, just to pick you up what you said there with regards to that, because I do feel now you're seeing why Conte has had that reluctance with Basuma. As we said earlier on, he needs to trust him 100% to be at the very, very top of his game to come into it. And I think, again, today, you see the difference. He brings him on, and he's obviously got that trust now where he looks at him as his first sub rather than his third sub. And look at the difference he's made today. A massive difference. Sam, coming over to you. It is time to talk about one of the main instances of the game, and that's the penalty, which I think amongst Spurs fans, it's quite unanimous, which, again, probably you wouldn't be surprising. But there does seem to be an outside of social media that feel it could have gone either way, this penalty. And it was a real nightmare for Pickford because he spilled Doherty's cross and then fouled Kane subsequently with his head, trying to scramble the ball. Sam, for you, we'll go round on this actually quickly. Any doubt in your mind, Sam, was that a penalty for you? Because Pickford looked like he knew exactly what he did. Yeah,
it was 1,000,000% a penalty. And you know what? Pickford's got that in him, and he either pulls off a worldie or he has a nightmare. Do you know what? So's Hugo Lloris, apart from the fact that he's better. But, he's got that in him. He either has a calamity, doesn't he? Or he shows the world class that he is. By the way, irreplaceable Hugo Lloris compared to Jordan Pickford. But it was a clear penalty. The thing I was worried about is the pen itself, because they play together in England. And I called it. I was here with the fam and talking to the family, the in-laws, and saying, look, he's going to go and tuck it. Normally, I think he took it to Pickford's right, which he did, and Pickford knows he's going to go that way, so he's going to go left. I said, if he doesn't, he's going to have to put it into the top of the net to Pickford's right. And he didn't. He went where he likes to go. And I was really surprised that Pickford went that way. Did he touch it? I don't know.
He looked like he got some contact on it. He got some contact on it.
Did he? Well, I mean, do you know what? He looked like he got close to it, didn't he? And I was worried about that. So I was worried about the penalty itself. But 1,000,000% a penalty, Ricky. I've got to say, I just want to touch on something that Crackers was saying with the Basuma scenario there. Whilst it's on my mind, Basuma, say we didn't buy him, right, Crackers, right? And he's still there playing at Brighton. And we're looking at him and going, he's going to be one of the best midfielders in Europe. Right? That's what we would be doing. And at the moment, he's sat on our bench. And he comes on and makes a difference like that. That's the options that Tottenham have at the moment. And people don't want me to smile and be positive that we've got Bentancur Højbjerg, and then you can bring Basuma on and make that difference. Just ridiculous. I know that's not what we're talking about, Ricky, but when Crackers he starts the tangled web of truth. And so I just wanted to touch on that with my opinion. You could start Basuma for me. I'll be fully comfortable, and I think the best is yet to come from him. He potentially is, or he's going to become one of the best midfielders, holding midfielders in Europe. And somebody put a comment. I just had to make a note of it because I couldn't remember the name. Benji 1234 said Basuma let Sonny run free. Absolutely, I had to write that down because that's what he does. And you know, we've got these options now. So just want to touch on that. Great comment.
No, love it. I mean, Cracks, come over to you just to discuss that penalty in a bit more detail. There is that argument, as I said, by some outside of Spurs. For me, it looks like a 100% stone wall. And the fact that Pickford's reaction, if you see it on the replay, he knows exactly what he's done. He almost then puts his head back down on the floor because he knows, God, I've caught him. I've touched him. And Kane has got a very cleverly acute way of making sure it looks like a pen anyway. Any doubt in your mind, Cracks, first, it was a pen?
Rick, it couldn't have been any more of a pen if it was a plastic tube full of ink and a ballpoint on the end of it and Bic written down the side of it. It was that much of a nailed-on pen. It's just a pen. And I mean, like, people like Chris Sutton, I mean, he don't like us anyway. And then a few people outside of Spurs, that's no pen. It's Harry Kane diving again. Oh, blah, blah, blah. You just hear it all the time. It's a pen. He knows it's a pen. You see how he reacts.
I can't even believe people were discussing it. That's why, I wouldn't bring it up, but because it seems from the outside, unless I'm missing something obvious here, how can it even be debatable that?
No, all you're missing is the obvious fact that people just hate Harry Kane outside of Spurs. I don't know why. It's just the most bizarre thing ever. But they do. So you just like, you know, it don't look like Harry Kane's ever losing any sleep over it, does he? So why should we? In fact, all the time people hate a player, you know they're doing something right, don't you? So like,
he's clever though, isn't he, Kane? Because he knew exactly what was going. Kane knew exactly what was going on in that pen. So when the ball came out and he knocked it past him, and this is the thing, right? When you're playing a game of chess, you don't. If somebody's got a move against you, you're still playing chess by moving the right player. Harry Kane gets knocked for people, you know, jumping on his back and falling forward. We had all that rigmarole last season. Right. And then, he knows exactly where he's going. He's left a leg out and whatever. And I don't think he does that too much. But he knows exactly what Pickford's about to do there. And of course, he goes for it. Let
me tell you something. When it comes to the World Cup, if he wins one like that versus Wales and it's not given in like the in the group games, or we get through and we're in a big game versus Argentina or something, and we don't get one, everybody that's screaming about him being a diver will all of a sudden be screaming and shouting that it was a pen. Listen, we had it with Michael Owen. Everybody said, he dives. Then he done it against Argentina, national hero, wasn't he, in the World Cup? So, you know, it's today's jam, tomorrow's mould, isn't it?
Yeah, just on the penalty, Cracks. got to say, nerves are still from Kane, right? I mean, the fact that he missed one in the last game, to then put yourself up again, I know it's Kane's nature, his mentality, and I got to say again, love the thing he did for the mental health aspect as well with Kane. There's so much you could say about him at the moment, just incredible. But the way he took it, the nerves are still. I think now for him, it's a goal to mark his 400th appearance for Spurs. It now means he's on 258. He's just 9 goals away from surpassing Jimmy Greaves and becoming the club's all-time leading goal scorer in Tottenham's history. I mean, anything more to say about him, Cracks, that you haven't said about Harry Kane?
No, it's just listen. He's gonna get that this season, isn't it? That's coming this season. I mean, people talk about Haaland. I think it's taken a little bit of the pressure off of him now. Haaland coming in, and people, he's coming, and he is the best striker in the league now. Haaland already, he already is. But then he's got that team behind him, so that does help just a little bit, doesn't it? But I tell you something, Haaland is not as good a footballer as Kane. There's a difference. He's a better striker, but not a footballer, because Haaland cannot do what Kane does.
Kane's brain is just, I agree, a playmaker as well as a finisher, Harry Kane.
Yeah, absolutely. He can do De Bruyne's role and Haaland's role, but to a good extent, a really good extent. But neither of those can do a good average of the both, either De Bruyne or Haaland. So if he was a top trumps card, he'd be the one you want in your hand, wouldn't he? Because he's got an 8 across the board, isn't he? Whereas somebody might have a 10 there and a 2 there. So he's fantastic. And listen, a big nod a tip of the hat to him as well, nod of the head with this new initiative that he's brought in, and the Harry Kane Foundation. Fantastic, as long as he stays front and centre for it. Sammy in a werewolf movie there, because all of a sudden he was there, and then all of a sudden there was like a wolf.
I
thought you put American Werewolf in London on.
I had my missus drop me a McDonald's cheeseburger through the door because she's just nipped out. So my dog jumped onto the sofa trying to find out where it was.
It's a very food-based show tonight, isn't it? We've had Quality Street, we've had burgers. So, but listen, with his foundation, I'd like to see him quite front and centre of it and being really hands-on with it. Because that's how the message is going to get out there. He's idolised by kids. He needs to be really front and centre with it. But just an all-round good guy. It's probably why everybody hates him, isn't it? But brilliant pen today, and God bless Harry Kane.
Yeah, and Jordan says here, just so you know, Sam, that's how it's true love when you get a cheeseburger dropped in through your door there. That's what true love is. Come around to you, John. Do you feel sorry for Kane? Because in any other season, if Haaland wasn't here, he'd be lording the goal charts again. And you just feel the fact that Haaland's here, that all the attention's taken off him. Was it a good thing, John, that he is under the radar for this season so far?
I think it makes no difference. He's just Harry Kane. He'll go on doing what he does. He's become a great all-round player. I think actually, if he was at City, he'd be putting a lot more goals in than he does with us, even because he'd be in the box more. He wouldn't be dropping deep. But it's great that he's an all-round player. As last time I was on the programme, I was saying, you've got a great number 9, one of the best country's best number 9, and probably the country's best number 10 combined. He can play both roles, and he's immense in the week. He really had a captain's mentality. And we all know Lloris is the captain, but Kane's kind of the captain as well. And he had a captain's mentality in a week against Eintracht Frankfurt, that run that he made into the area. And he had the same determination and canniness today. So it makes this is all froth, all this stuff, with Haaland. It's all, obviously he's a great player, and he's a young guy, and he's on a peak of a role now. But as we all know, there's a real anti-Kane agenda through football for some weird reason, because he's a very wholesome character. So it's very strange to do that. But I'm going to quickly say I've been involved in Twitter disputes over chocolate. That's why I didn't want to react, but I'm just going to have to. I do agree with Cracknell. The purple.
Oh, this is brilliant. This is what I've been waiting for.
I don't like the new size. I also don't know about the manufacturers of Quality Street, but I do believe a lot of chocolate manufacturers now use more palm oil. So it's just slightly, for me, slightly cheesy flavour with the chocolate. Not really into it. So I buy bulk purchases of Rolos and Munchies. That's another whole debate. Is it the biscuit base of the crunchy, or is it the thick chocolate base of the Rolo? I can't decide.
We're going to need a Sunday night special tomorrow dedicated to chocolate.
Digestives in the fridge. All chocolate should be frozen. It should be in the fridge. It's better that way. I've got no more to say on it, except that I'm disappointed with a lot of chocolate. And I have a lot of chocolate on the right in the dressing rooms. Palm oil, as I believe some manufacturers use. I'm not casting any aspersions on Quality Street. I don't like the new big size, with those chocolates. They're not kind of what they were. So I think you're better off. I go on Amazon and you buy job lots of Munchies and Rolos.
John, and what's your professional opinion on Toblerone, if you don't mind? Because
there's a picture of me on Twitter.
Going on
there's a picture of me on Twitter. I bought a couple of years ago at Christmas a Toblerone bar that was 5 foot long.
Beautiful. Oh my God.
I've got photographic evidence. My missus went mad at me. Something about putting weight on. I don't know what. But anyway.
Do you know what? I think Stefan Everson used to have football boots made out of Toblerone bars, because every time he hit it, it'd go off at angles, like it was triangles on his boots, wouldn't they? Oh, Toblerone boots, Stefan Everson, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. He got the winner, didn't he, against Leicester? That was the one thing he did, was it? He got the win at Wembley.
It's like Kulusevski, Kane and Son, the triangle, the Toblerone.
He was the midfielder, wasn't he? That's right. He never scored, did he? I don't think.
No.
I've got to make you laugh. We've done half hour on Quality Sheet. We've not even talked about Hobie yet.
But after he finished playing, I think we were away at Norwich in the away end. He was with us. He was with the away fans in a game. Believe it or not.
Oh, honestly. Who says this show is not analytical? You've had a break there from Jar Wobble, tells you everything about what he likes in the last 20 years of Tottenham, where it's gone down wrong.
I tried to avoid the debate, but...
I know, bless you. You tried, John. I'd say there's lots of comments here asking, and Nestel, your brand then, John, is that your favourite, Nestel?
Yeah, they were very rude to me when I did delivery driving, and Nestle were very rude to me at the Nestle factory out in Bury St Edmunds. Is it? I had to take a load of paper out of it, some shipment I took out, driving a truck out there many years ago, and I remember they were quite rude to me, so I didn't like the company for a while, simply because the guy wouldn't let me deliver the load, because I'd got there at 2 minutes past 6 and they weren't going to accept deliveries after 6 or something like that. It was many years ago, but I took against them. But yeah, I do like those brands. Those, I do like Munchies and Rolos. Very similar. Biscuit base of the Munchie versus the thick chocolate base of the Rolo. Difficult.
Well, there you go. What decisions to make there? And I think as Jordan says here, this YouTube channel with review of chocolate fans, going to be surprised with the algorithms when this goes out. I tell you, my God. What we are going to do before we discuss PME Hobie is we are going to go for our next break of the show for our listeners and audio. For our watching audience, there's a good 700, 800 of you here watching and thinking, what the hell is going on? Yeah, it's become a chocolate debate rather than a football debate. We're going to bring it back onto the football in the due course this next break. A reminder, if you need one, that we are delighted to be sponsored by NordVPN as the boys try and get their composure back, as well as me. A reminder, of course, that Spurs travelling around Europe, you are going to need your NordVPN wherever you are. It gives you opportunity, of course, to, if you're travelling around the world, be able to make sure you can still watch your favourite TV, whether it's football, sports, drama, soaps, whatever you want to watch, you can still do that with Nord by keeping your location settings to whatever they are in the country that you're in. We have got a special discount for our watching audience and live audience listeners on Last Word on Spurs, and you can get that by going to nordvpn.com/LWOS to get yourself a huge discount off your NordVPN plan plus 4 months free. It is completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day back money guarantee. And again, guys, Saturday night, we're joined by the wonderful Richard Cracknell, Sammy Powell, and the musician Jar Wobble, taking you through here as we, like I say, reflect, look back on a 2-0 win for Tottenham. It maintains and actually is now our best ever start to a Premier League season as we build up to Manchester United to come on Wednesday night. And we have to talk about now PME Hobie. We really have to. And Cracks, you on this show, I think one of your first ever shows on Last Word on Spurs. We're now going back, God, how long's Højbjerg been in now? 2 or 3 years, Cracks? Longer than that
I think this might be my last, Rick, after me starting the chocolate debate, to be honest. Yeah, I've been on, what, about 2 or 3 years, I suppose, haven't I? Yeah.
Honestly, best times of my life. But on him, Cracks, Højbjerg at the moment, I mean, he just completed the job for Tom, didn't he? The finish itself, I mean, it was just superb. The build-up play between himself, Bentancur, the controlled cross, the controlled finish, and the biggest compliment I can pay him right now is that for me, hands down, there's not even a debate at the moment, despite Kane scoring as many goals as he has done so far. For me, Højbjerg is a standout player of the season. I'm sure you agree, Cracks, on that.
Yeah, I really like him. I was very, very 50-50 with him. I wondered whether long-term he would be the answer for us. But he pops up with plenty enough goals here and there. He gets some important goals, doesn't he? He gets what I call those kick, bollock and bite goals, doesn't he? Which would be a great name for a chocolate bar, wouldn't it? Kick, bollock and bite. But he does get you a few goals. And like, listen, I call him the dustman. Someone took issue with it once, but I mean it with a lot of love. He's a warrior. He goes in there, he just cleans all the rubbish out. He does all the dirty jobs. And I think every team needs one of them, Rick. You've always got to have those doers in your side, haven't you? You really do have to. And he gets kicked about, he gets up and he's back again. He's a proper Viking warrior. And as I said, I was 50-50 with him, but I'm telling you, I'm fully team Højbjerg now. I really am. I do really like him. He just does that job. Not everyone in a side can be a Bentancur or a Messi type or a just that sort of luxury player. You do need doers in there, don't you? So
yeah, what I love is Sam is trying to explain to his family members what is going on this Last Word on Spurs show. I can see him trying to break down what is going on, and as that's going on, Stuart in the comments is saying Harry Kane and the Chocolate Factory. So we've got to steer away from the chocolate debate for the sake of Jar, bless him, because I don't want to get onto any more of shipment deliveries he's gone through in his past lives to bring it back onto this one. But Sam, coming over to you, Højbjerg, look, I mean, generally, again, you've got to say that for the work rate he's putting in, the effort at the moment, again, there's almost that argument where at the moment he's becoming undroppable, isn't he, Sam, for this team? He's becoming undroppable.
He is. I hold my hands up, Rick, because I'm the one that said he's not good enough. I am. And I still sort of try and... He might not be for a world-class team, but for what he's doing for Tottenham and what Conte's got out of him, I'm astonished. I have to say, when you say he's the standout player of the season, for me, it's Bentancur. I'm sorry. It's okay. If you watch the games back, for me, it's Bentancur is the standout player. So far, he's the guy that is holding Tottenham together. But in terms of Højbjerg, you can't drop him. There's no replacement for him. You can't. It's unquestionable in terms of his start. And when you see it, you know that he's going to give absolutely everything. He's the type of person you want on the front line. So, yeah. And you're right. I was explaining to my missus in the background about the chocolate scenario. In fact, I thought if he asked me about Højbjerg, I'm going to have to bite my lip wondering whether has Højbjerg ever tried a Karamak.
Oh, God. John, coming around to you. I mean, like I say, Stephen Parker, Højbjerg's stats prove he's been the best. And again, just to kind of give you the impetus on that, last 5 games at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, 3 assists, 2 goals. I mean, is he quite simply undroppable at the moment, John, given the fact of what he's bringing to the team, both on and off the pitch? He just seems so integral.
Why would anyone consider dropping Højbjerg? Why? You know, who would you put in there? Let's drop him to put Skip in. Why? You know, Skip's not fit probably at the moment. So, you know, why would you? You know, the other night when when Bissouma came on, he was very shaky against Frankfurt. You know, I think he was so desperate not to do anything wrong. He just when you get somebody who's really drunk and they want to appear like they're not drunk, they make it worse. I'm not saying he was that bad, but, you know, he tried to be so careful in every little thing he did that it kind of, he misplaced passes and looked very, very nervous. different kettle of fish today, you know. And obviously, Bassoon was a great player, but would you, at this point, would you consider taking Holbier out to put Bassoon in, other than to give Holberg a rest? That might be, you might want to rest, but right now, you know, and I don't mean what I just said. I don't mean that disrespectfully. Again, you know, you see lots of footballers do that, where if they're confident and they're relaxed, they're making little passes and, you know, never giving the ball away. You know, get uptight, you get so nervous, you concentrate so hard on not doing the wrong thing, you do the wrong thing, you know. But anyway, Hobart, his interceptions and, you know, fantastic. He really drives. He's like an old-fashioned number 4 kind of guy. He reminds me of people like Alan Mullery in a way, you know. I think there's too much of a debate about these midfielders, and I bought into that a bit, that, well, they're not defensive, they're not holding players, him and Bentancur, and but they're not box to box, so the argument leads you into they're neither fish nor fowl, and, you know, they're good players, they're bloody good players, you know. And you can hear you can imagine Conte saying to him, I want you to pass the ball 10 meters. I don't interested in 40 meters. 10 meters.
He just does exactly what he wants, doesn't he, John? You know, he just does exactly what he wants, doesn't overcomplicate it. It's simplistic. And I think that's what Conte loves about him. There's a reason why, Cracks, we said it before on Last Word on Spurs, there's a reason why he's, you know, was wanted by Mourinho in the first place. And whatever you said about Mourinho's style of football in the past, he knows a player. The guys want everything there is to win in the game. And Mourinho wanted him at this football club. And whatever you think about Nuno, bless him, even though it looks like he might be coming back in at Wolves, he was always in the team for him. Conte is always in the team for him as well. There's a reason I say he played for Bayern Munich as well. There is a reason why Højbjerg is loved and adored by every manager, because he looks like he just does exactly what he's asked to do and does it to his best. And the great thing about him now is, Cracks, I don't know what he had it in him, but he's almost becoming now, somehow, somewhere, almost now a goal-scoring version of a player we never ever thought we would see. He's almost become a box-to-box goal scorer. I mean, who ever thought that, Rich, with PM and Højbjerg?
No, and that's testament to Conte and the team around him at the training ground. But they've developed him and they've shaped him and they've sort of remodelled what he could do. But he's got the basic DNA of a very decent footballer, and all they've really done is they've just sort of worked with that and just tweaked his game and developed it. And you know, there's a nice spine through that team now, because Dyer is like the version of Højbjerg behind him. He's another player that unspectacular, but he will play in a different position for you. You want maybe 2 or 3 players. What you need in a side is, if your keeper gets injured and you haven't got a reserve one, they'll be the first to put their hand up to go in goal. That's the type of mentality you need. You know, Kane done it. Oddle used to do it. Højbjerg, he'd go in goal. Like Dyer would go in goal. It sounds a silly thing, but that's the mentality of them. And Dyer, he'll play through a knock. He'll go and play in a different position for you. Højbjerg does the same. Kane would do it as well. Kane's another one. So there's 3 right through the middle of the team almost that give you something and everything, you know, a little bit of everything. You can rely on them. They're the people you want next to you in the trenches. And then from there, you can afford to have a little bit of luxury around you, you know, those people with a little bit more flair and that. It's balance, isn't it? Football teams are balance. You know, you had Roy Keane in the middle, you had Vieira in the middle, but back in the day, they offered you. I'm not saying Højbjerg is anywhere near those 2 levels, but that's the type of player that he is, and you know, he's developing and he is actually getting better. So he could end up being, sort of like a Kane level, if you like, you know, of ability. Yeah. So. Yeah, I like him. I'm sold on him now. As I said, I was 50-50, but I think that team needs him.
Yeah, no, I agree. Really, really important to the team. I must just touch upon the last part of the game, and then I said we'll just do a quick player review and then squeeze in United. Let's go over to Sam on this. Sam, I know you've been calling for him as well, and we've all been wanting to see him. Jed Spence, he got a big applause. He got the nod. It may have only been a couple of minutes, but you know, you can already see, as John touched upon earlier, he is gaining Conte's trust. And again, what I loved about the substitution, Sam, is the crowd were really, really delighted to see Spence come on. And I think the great thing is that he got such a nice reception, Spence, that it's almost like he can see that the crowd really, really want this to work. And I'm sure it's about patience, it's about time. He will get his chance, won't he? But Conte knows the right time to bud the players in. As we now seen with Basuma, he's come on today and changed the game for Tottenham with that formation change.
Yeah, and do you know what? That I sort of like the fact that Conte's had some suspense over his, his approval to get on the pitch. He's been quite public about it. Antonio Conte doesn't mince his words, does he? And he said he's not ready. And do you know what? We're winning. And if we were losing and he was holding back a player like Spence, there'd be questions. And we're not. And so I back the gaffer, as I will continue to do massively. But Jed Spence, I have got a feeling that he is going to be a game changer for us. I really have. He's got pace that's faster than Kyle Walker's, apparently, and we're yet to see that. And when he's unleashed, we've seen it in the Championship. Obviously, he was the game changer for Forest. He was the one that got them to where they got to, apparently. But seeing the reception from the fans, it was brilliant. I feel as though the changing formation is going to be quite crucial to his success because we are going to have to mix it up. So I feel as though when there's games that there's going to be Sessegnon and Spence playing together, I can see that happening. Where we need to go fast up both wings. And then I see the games where we're going to need to bring Basuma in as well. I'm starting to see Basuma's he's just so good. And this is what I was saying before.
You do get the feeling this is the start of it, don't you now? I mean, that game tonight has come on, he's changed the game.
You took the words out of my mouth, Ricky.
Yep.
You just get the feeling that he knows what he's doing, doesn't he, Conte? Because, he made these signings and we're not football managers, right? We're fans, we're supporters. And you'd put them on, wouldn't you? You'd put them on because of how good they are. And he hasn't done that. He's gone, listen, just let me do what I'm doing. And you've got people, especially a lot of people on social media, especially a lot of the football fans voicing their opinion about, oh, this is predictable from Conte. What's predictable? The win? I mean, what's predictable? He's doing what he knows he has to do. You look at the Doherty comment that was taken completely out of context about, I want to win games. That's why I don't start. That's not what he meant. You look at Doherty, he had a brilliant game. He's backed massively by Conte. He does. He wouldn't belittle a player like that he wants to perform. What he was saying is he was putting out his team and building in the players that he knows are going to make a difference. And Doherty looks like absolute. I thought he was gold dust tonight, to be fair. I think he's had some really strong games. He looks like he's beefing up, to be fair, as well. He looks like he's got his fitness coach on his back. But all these players are ready to make the difference. Spence will be a game changer. And I also will say, who we don't talk about enough because we're not seeing him, Oliver Skipp, right, is going to be something special. And I'll stand by that comment. I'll have it bookmarked and thrown back at my face at any point. Oliver Skipp is going to be something special. And whether that's with England or Tottenham, I don't know. Because at the moment, to get into the Tottenham squad, he's like, he's just unbelievable. But he's a big player, with a lot more to come. Just like what we've got in the depth of the squad at the moment, Ricky.
Totally agree. What we are going to do, guys, that's we're just going to squeeze in player ratings, do 5 on United, and have everybody seen off in the next 10. John, just want to come around to you, just get your thoughts on the defenders. We're going to come around to Cracks on midfield and go to Sammy on attack. Overall, John, you were obviously there tonight at the game. Romero looked like he was almost dominant in everything he did during that game. Looks like he's back to his fluent best now. Eric Dyer, really nothing get past him throughout the game as well. Ben Davies, another good display from him. I think Doherty, as we saw, come off to a massive hug from Antonio Conte at the end there before being replaced. And again, really showing the form that he showed in the back end of last season before Matty Cash's horrendous tackle on him. And even Perisic, I think, again, showing now that he's getting back to that form that we all hoped he would do. And looks like, again, he's going to be a really important player for Spurs. Overall defence, John, happy overall defensively wise with Tottenham tonight?
Yeah, I mean, look, there was a bit daft in the first half, as we saw. It happens, and these Premier League forwards are so sharp. They're like shit off fast. They're like shit off a shovel. They're so quick. So, something to give in, But apart from that, yeah, very solid. And, generally, look at the stats and look at most games, even though they sit deep, they're very much in control. A lot of Spurs fans get quite panicky. I understand that. I got panicky on 71 minutes in the week. I think probably ahead of everyone else in the crowd is what it felt like, But the stats are good and they're in control,
Yep, agree. We've got to.
They're in control. They're an effective team. We know they're not the very best. They're not top shelf.
Yeah.
Romero maybe will be seen to be that. We know Dyer's not top shelf. We know Holbier's not top shelf. But Alan Murray wasn't top shelf when he played for us. But he knocked himself out getting that goal against Wolves in the UEFA Cup. In the 1-1 at White Hart Lane when we won the UEFA Cup, when it was harder to win that than it was the European Cup in those days. Actually, you played. It was a tougher for a number of reasons I won't go into now. But so it's about a team, and Conte understands that. It's about building a team with team spirit, and like Sam said, Spence is going to be a great player for us. Now, look, I saw him last year. He's going to be a great player. Got poise, balance. He can beat a man, and it's just not been the right time to put him in. But the time will come, as it will for Skip. We all saw Skip's a good player. Conte likes him. Coming back from injuries, you've got to ease your way back in,
Yeah, agree. Totally agree. Crack's come over and just discussed that, dissect that midfield very quickly. Højbjerg. What else can we say about Højbjerg? Man of the match from him tonight. Worked ever so hard. Got his goal and fully deserved. Bentancur, picked up a really harsh yellow card early on, and you've got to give credit to him because, again, managing to toe that line, getting that yellow card and being able to, judge when it's right, tackle-wise tonight, really, really impressive. The discipline he shows is just simply remarkable. So, credit to them. And Basuma, discipline when he came on, drove Spurs that victory. Overall, Cracks, happy with that midfield from Spurs?
Yeah, very. That was a potential banana skin today, and like you said, with Bentancur picking up that early yellow, there was obviously going to target him, and he's walked the line and he's done it really well. There'll be stiffer tests to come for them, but we're only dealing with today. Midfield spot on today was really good. I didn't see anything that really you could sort of point a finger at and go, no, I wasn't happy with that. So very, very, very good. Just one quick thing, Rick. There's a weird thing going on with Conte, I've noticed, because he calls Doherty Matthew Doherty. I'm surprised he doesn't call Ben Davies Benjamin Davies and Harold Kane. But when he gets to Skip, he calls him Skippy.
Yeah.
He's almost like Cluffy, isn't he? But used to call Edward Sheringham. And he uses all these, but when it comes to Oliver Skip, he calls him Skippy. What's going on there? Like, it's a bit weird. He's like,
and he calls Højbjerg Hobby as well. He calls
Hobby.
He's got Hobby for Højbjerg as well.
Yeah. Them two have got like that little nickname thing going on. I want that psychoanalyzed. What's going on now? Run that past the boys at the lab, Rick.
We'll see what we can do. Psycho out of you, just on the forwards tonight. Richarlison, listen, disappointing for him. He came off, of course, in that second half. Some more words from Richarlison. Really sad. Spoke to ESPN after the game. He said, it's hard to say with regards to that calf problem. It's close to my dream. I already suffered this injury and stopped 2 months. I'll see. I have an exam, but it even hurts to walk. I have to think positive to go to Qatar. It's all so close. Again, Richarlison in tears. Really, really sad with that. But Kane, again, now 9 goals in 10 Premier League games for him with that penalty. Heung-min Son worked hard tonight. Some good interchanging of plays. Just wasn't his game for him. But overall, Sam, happy with the attack?
Yeah, massively. I'm massively happy with it. And just to touch on that, what Crackers was saying there, yellow card, Bentancur, because I have to always comment on everything. That was one of the worst refereeing decisions I've seen all season, and there's been some bad ones. But anyway, I'm happy with the attack. And Harry Kane, what was he a striker? Because I'm not being funny. He was defending for us 5-6 times tonight, which made a massive impact on the game. He is unbelievable, Ricky. He's so good. He's everywhere on the pitch, clearing the ball out the box to passing in midfield to being there up front.
Yep.
I can't. Do we even want to start the debate of me talking for another?
No, we don't.
15 minutes. We don't do it. I'm talking for another 15 minutes about Harry Kane. Of course, I'm happy. Harry Kane, Richarlison, he's always going to be a nuisance there. And Sonny, did he have his best game? No. Was he great? No. And we're still getting performances like that out of him. So I was really happy with the attack.
Agree. Right. What we are going to do is we are going to go for our final break of the show for our listeners on audio. You're going to hear from a couple of really good podcasters covering Manchester United from us. We've got the United Stand, and we've also got United District covering us on those previews. And we're going to go right now, guys, because of time. Just going to go straight into it. Predictions for Manchester United. Hard to get a preview as to where we're at. John, bless him, is dressed, ready, suited and booted. He looks like he's hitting the high road tonight, John, so good luck to him. Cracks, let's come around to you first. Cracks, firstly, thoughts of United to come, prediction, and what's in the diary for you over the next couple of months?
Right, Man United, go there, be brave, put it on them, because I still don't fancy them much. They have improved, but if we play as well as we can and we're brave, we won't lose there. It's good. Whether we'll get a win, I don't know, but we'll certainly won't lose if we play to the best of our ability and we're brave. So that's I think that's a given. Next couple of months, I'm back home for a while. When I'm back over in November, got a night with Ledley King in Dartford. Got a fantastic World Cup preview night over in Surrey at the National Golf Club with Chrissy Waddle. That's a World Cup special night with a meal and everything. And got some really good World Cup stuff coming up and a few nights here and there in November. So have a look at the socials and you'll see them. So thank you for that, Rick.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Cracks, for that. It's great. We're going to try and bring this. And bless him. John is suited and booted. We know where he's hitting, but he's looking on the high top for our watching audience here.
Rick, he's gone. He's a punk rocker. Your clock means nothing to him. He's rock and roll. He's gone. He's back.
The dedication of John tonight has been incredible. John, quick on United. John, quick prediction.
I am on the way out, but in probably more ways than one. But internet's going. And I've got a kitchen at a place is closing where I'm going, so I'm having to give him the order now. I think we'll win. I'm going to say we're going to win 2-1. I think last minute goal for us. I think 2-1. That's what my heart's telling me. My head, I will ignore.
Okay, and John, finally, mate, what's in the diary for you? I know you've got a very busy next few months coming up towards the end of the year. John, anything you want to give a quick shout out to if they don't chuck you out there?
Doing a first ever performance of Metal Box Rebuilt at 26th of October tonight. We play Porto. We play Sporting Lisbon. I'm doing that at the O2 Islington, and then off to Zurich and Prague. Not necessarily in that order. And that means I'm going to have to have the phone on with Tottenham playing, which I do on stage. I have it there. The other week, it actually went out through the PA, all through the gig. I didn't realise, which was a little bit embarrassing. Everyone was kept running. It was my phone was hidden away. And then I come back from Zurich, and I was very relieved the Liverpool game's been put back to the Sunday. So I was supposed to go back up north, but I'll get off the plane in Heathrow, and rather than flying up there, I'll just come here and look forward to the Liverpool game.
I thought they moved the Liverpool game back for you, John, didn't they? Did they do it for you, the Liverpool game, moving it back for you?
I think Levy is obsessed with me. I've never ever... and I think he loves me, and I think he bases all the Spurs... I think the FA love me, are obsessed with me, and they base all the fixtures around my gigs. That's just my feeling. I have no proof of that. I might be deluded, but
You deluded? Yeah. Never. John, can I just say thank you so much for tonight. John has been at the game. Come on, Last Word on Spurs. He's going back out again. That's the life of living the high road of John, the wonderful John Wobble. John, thank you so much, mate.
Yeah, we got a Thai place next door, so just
very nice.
I mean, he said pad Thai. It's not. I'm in a green curry mood, fiery, with a side. Yeah.
Treat yourself. The wonderful John Wobble.
Dessert, John.
It's lovely chatting to you. I haven't eaten since I had a Sexton Blake and chips last night, by the way. You know, done a 24. Didn't intend to, but it's been such a helter-skelter day with everything. I'm now weak with hunger, but I will prevail. You know,
John, you're an absolute star. Thank you so much.
Do this 16 hours on, 8 hours. You know, like where I don't eat after 6. It's all out of control, but I don't care. Lovely.
The wonderful John Wobble there. John, thank you so much. What a pleasure to have John back on with us. And Sam, thank you so much, mate. I know it's been twice in a week for Sammy Powell. Sam, I think you've got a lot more shows coming as well, mate. So thank you so much for all your commitment. You've got a little one as well in your life. And I know you've got Disneyland coming. So it's all quiet your end, Sam, right?
Yeah, off to Florida and off to Miami next week, mate. But a good bit of family time. I must admit now, John's just said that I'm dying for a green curry. I wish people wouldn't plant the seeds. Why did I even mention chocolate before? I'm probably going to end up raiding the fridge for that. Jesus, that's been an entertaining one.
It's been the story of the show, isn't it, Sam?
Eh?
The story of the show, isn't it?
Story of the show. My phone is going bananas over chocolate. I just can't believe it. Crackers is tweeting about name of chocolate whilst he's on the show. It's pinging like mad. But so yeah, I'm gonna have to have some. Well, actually, in fact, I'm going to end on this. We've got this Ferrero Rocher chocolate bar. Have you tried that? Listen, that's amazing. We've got that, and I keep it in the freezer, so I'm going to be on that after the show. Prediction for United. You are not going to believe what I'm just about to tell you, Ricky, Mr. Positive. I think we've got a 2-2 coming, a draw. I think it's going to be a mega tough game at Old Trafford. Anthony and Martial, they're two different people as well, Anthony Martial. But Anthony and Martial, I think, are going to be dramas for us. It's going to be a really tough game that we need to go with all guns blazing, like Crackers said. Yeah. I think it's going to be a draw. I go for a Desmond 2-2. And I think if we get a result out of it, a win out of it, I'll be absolutely over the moon. But that's a tough test for the season.
Honestly, Sam, thank you so much. From the wonderful Mr. Cracknell, from the wonderful Sammy Powell, from the brilliant Jar Wobble. If you stay on right now and you press the red button, you're going to go and see what John does on a Saturday night. So stay on and you can check John out and what he's going to eat in the next 15 minutes. Make sure you press that red button into the show.
I'm going to answer. Lovely. Rich,
John.
Ricky, thank you. Sorry to be rude and piss off.
No, don't be silly. What a band.
See you later, boys.
What a night. I'm going to say, one of the funniest shows I've done so far this season on Last Word on Spurs. I've got to say, the chemistry has been off the chart. There is still 700 to 800 of you watching us live right now. Thank you so much for your support on a Saturday night. Sam, thank you so much, mate. Loved it as always. Thank you, Sammy.
Thank you. Love you. Love you guys. Thank you so much,
mate.
honestly.
Likewise.
Brilliant.
And Cracks, mate.
The support as well, Ricky.
Oh,
I've just got to say, the support, unbelievable for the podcast, mate. I'm so proud of you.
Bless you, mate. Listen, thank you so much again to viewers, listeners of this show, the contributors that make the show possible. And Cracks, mate, thank you so much. Gigging last night with Doors on Last Word on Spurs on Saturday. Thank you so much, mate. I appreciate it as always.
No, thank you. And listen, thank you everybody that comes along to the night, tunes into the show here, because there's no shows either doing them live or shows like this if people ain't involved with them. So, it's brilliant. I just love go over the lane, go to Beavertown before the game, people coming over and love the pod. There's so much love out there, and but we love doing it because people love it. So thank you everyone that tunes in.
Likewise. Honestly, thanks again to the wonderful John Wobble, from Richard Cracknell, the wonderful Richard Cracknell, from the wonderful Sammy Powell. We are leaving you and loving you at the same time. We'll be back on Wednesday night for instant reaction to Spurs against Manchester United at Old Trafford. As always, guys, please keep safe, keep well, and as always, come on you Spurs.